Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Oh, all right, Tamika, girl, thank you. Woo-hoo! Woo! Can you feel that energy? Wow, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Oh, it's so wonderful to see your beautiful and handsome faces this evening. Thank you for being here. And thank you to those online. We're so happy that you're here with us. We've had an amazing January here at Unity of Houston, where this Wednesday night has been about prosperity and prosperity teachers. And it culminates tonight with Napoleon Hill's work, Think and Grow Rich. How many of you are familiar with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich? Give a hand raise. Oh, good, wonderful. So glad to hear that. Before we get started on Napoleon Hill's work, though, I do have a joke for you. So, there was a couple, Fred and Ethel, and they loved going to the fair every year. And at the fair, Fred would say, he would see the helicopter ride. Well, it was a helicopter that gave rides. And he would say, oh, I want to go on that helicopter ride. And Ethel would go, no, Fred, no, you're not going on the helicopter ride. It's $50, Fred, and $50 is $50. So this went on year after year after year. And then one year, Fred said, Ethel, I'm 85 years old now. He said, I may not get another opportunity to go on this helicopter ride. I really want to go. And again, Ethel said, no, Fred, no, it's $50, and $50 is $50. So the pilot of the helicopter overheard this conversation as he had heard it many years before. And he said, you know what, folks? He said, I tell you what. He said, I will give you a ride. You can come get in the helicopter. I'm going to take you on a ride. And as long as you do not say one word, not one word, I won't charge you anything. He said, but if you say anything, I'm going to charge you $50. So Fred especially was elated. Ethel was just kind of like, well, okay. So they get in the helicopter, and oh my goodness, the pilot takes them on quite a ride. Loop-de-loops and daredevil rides, and he was waiting for them to holler out and say something, but it was quiet. They were quiet as a mouse. And so the pilot lands the helicopter, and he looks back at Fred, and he said, wow, am I impressed? He said, I did every frightening move I could think of. He said, and you didn't say a word. Y'all didn't say a word. And Fred went, well, I started to say something when Ethel fell out. He said, but $50 is $50. Now, I don't know if Fred was being frugal or he was just tired of Ethel, right? Oh, so tonight, I love Napoleon Hill's work. As a matter of fact, I went through Mary Morrissey's Dream Builder program to become a life mastery coach and consultant and facilitator of Think and Grow Rich, the program Think and Grow Rich. And I just love facilitating that information, that class. So in the training, Mary was sharing with us a story that had really impacted her. And she said back in the early days when she was really wanting more financial prosperity to grow her ministry and for her family, she had heard of a businessman that spoke about prosperity. And she purchased a ticket and went to a big lecture hall to see him speak. And he came out on the stage. He was quite well-known lecturer. He came out on the stage And he pulled out a big, big, big wad of money. And so he showed him all the money, his money, and he went, nom, 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 nom. Oh, I love money. I love money. I love money. I love money. Nom, 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 nom. I love money. Well, the whole audience was just disgusted. And Mary was like, oh my gosh, I'm a minister. This is not spiritual at all. And she felt like, I just think I'm going to have to leave. I don't think I can sit here and listen to this man. And the man goes, y'all are disgusted, aren't you? The audience was kind of like, yeah. He said, well, if I had pulled out a picture of my grandbaby, which this is my grandbaby, if I had pulled out a picture of my grandbaby, and I was, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, grandbaby, I love you so much, what would y'all be thinking? Oh, how cute, what a sweet man, what a loving man, what a wonderful man. Why shouldn't we love money, right? So what this does is it invites us to look at our belief system around money. Why wouldn't we love money? What more could I do for my grandchild and with my grandchild if I had all the money that I wanted to perhaps invest in her future, in her college? Don't we want more money? Don't we want money to do the things we would love to do? To get, yes, again, yes. To give in ways and places that make a difference in the lives of others and in our lives? What is wrong with us loving money? That was a great example of looking at our own belief system where money is concerned. For some reason, perhaps we felt like, oh, we shouldn't be loving money. Well, what does that do? That blocks our flow. So I invite us to look at those belief systems. Look at how you were raised to think about money. What did your parents tell you about money? How many people know? If you know the answers to these questions, and I really ask you to explore your belief system. How many of you have heard the saying, save it for a rainy day? Money doesn't grow on trees. All these sayings that perhaps we grew up with impact our subconscious mind. And so we bring those to the surface so that we can heal those and that we can move forward with our thoughts around money. Because you know what? Money is paper. It's the energy that we place around it, and also what we do with it and how we think about it is what makes a difference for what money is. Money's not good or bad. It's just a piece of paper. That's all it is. So the point about Napoleon Hill is that he was an amazing man, first of all, and he studied 500 people. He wanted to know the secret of these wealthy people. So he studied 500 people over a 20-year span that had become millionaires in his day. People like Henry Ford, the Wrigleys. The Wrigleys used to be Wrigley's gum, chewing gum, had a big dynasty. The Wrigleys, the Edisons, millionaires of the day, because he wanted to see what thread ran through these people's lives. Was there a thread that ran through these successful people's lives? And so the first one he came up with is you want to be very intentional with your word, and you don't want to give your power away. You don't want to give your power away to anyone. Now, prosperity is not just about financial money. It's also about everything in our life. It's about health. It's about relationships. It's about peace of mind. And Napoleon Hill was taken to the task with this, especially around health. Here he was, the man teaching that we could have anything and do anything and heal anything. And his second son was born deaf with no ears. He had no ears and he was deaf. And so the doctors told him, they said, your son will be deaf and mute for his life. And Napoleon Hill refused to accept that. And he refused for his son to accept that. And so he started programming his son's mind from the time he was a baby. He would work with his son and talk to his son and visit with his son, though his son didn't have hearing. What they did notice, though, is that when his son was a toddler, he would go up to the Victrola. For those of you too young to know what that is, it's a turntable with the horn coming out where the music is projected from the horn back in the old days. And the little boy would clamp his mouth down on the table. And he was hearing through bone conduction, through his skull. So and he would start dancing. They noticed it because he put his mouth on the table, then he'd start dancing. And so that was a big breakthrough. And the Hills fought for him to go to regular school and to have special learning from the teachers where they would write things out. They didn't really want him in class because it took extra time, but the Hills fought for it. They weren't going to stay in limitation. They were going to move forward. And so he went through school, and he actually went into college. And his father taught him, do not stay in limitation. You look towards possibilities. You look towards your possibilities. He said, your deficit will become your greatest asset. Well, now, how was that going to be possible, right? So in college, he tried many hearing aids, and none of them ever worked. But finally, a type of hearing aid had been developed that he tried, and he could hear with it. And he called his mom from college and heard her voice for the first time. It was a very emotional time for him and for his family, for him to be able to actually hear the spoken word. Now, what he did was, he ended up after college, he went to the company that made these specialized hearing aids, and he wanted to thank them, back to that gratitude, he wanted to thank them for what had gone into create this type of hearing aid. Well, he ends up getting hired for the company. He becomes a salesperson for the company, and he brought to so many hundreds of people a hearing aid for a specific type of hearing loss to people that would have never had it before. And he became very successful in that business. He became a very successful salesman. So right back to what his father had told him, your deficit will become your greatest asset. He had an amazing career. So again, we don't want to give our power away to anyone. We want to stay in not limitation, but we want to look forward towards possibility. I have a personal story about that. My little sister was diagnosed with a very, very rare form of cancer. And the doctors gave her a 5% chance of survival for up to 5 years. In other words, she wasn't going to make it to the 5-year mark because people didn't that had that rare type of cancer. I can remember going to MD Anderson, and the waiting rooms were all full of many, many people, except people that had this particular kind of cancer. There were like 6 chairs in the waiting room because it was very, very rare. And my sister had 2 young children, and she very much had so much to live for. And so she shared with her doctor, she said, here's what I need you to, and my sister was part of this community. She was part of Unity of Houston. She was a Unitine teacher. She and I joined the church together. She was just embraced in this philosophy. So she said, here's what she told the doctor. I need you to get on board with the fact that we can heal this and overcome it. She said, and if you don't, I'm going to fire you. And so the doctor laughed. He said, well, okay. He said, I'm one of the only doctors in the whole world that knows how to treat this. he says, I don't know who else you're going to get, but okay, I'll just get on board with you. Now, there was only one survivor, one 20-year survivor in the whole world, and that was her doctor's nurse. And so she did have a good role model to look at. I want to share with you that that was 22 years ago this year, right? Thank you. And so the doctor told her just this year, he's retiring now, and he said, I'm so glad I got to take you into old age. You know, because we're very close in age, so, you know, we're getting old. He said, I'm joyous that I got to bring you into old age. And so the purpose of this is we don't give our power away. We don't give our power away. Yes, we take information in and we move with it, but we don't say others know more than what we innately know. We don't give up. We don't give in to limitation. Now, the second point, so that was the first point, watch our words and don't give our power away. The second one that Hill brought into his book was burning desire, that we need to have a burning desire for what it is that we want, whether it is a relationship, it's a man or a woman, it's financial abundance, it's a company, it's a business, it's health, whatever it is, you need to have a burning desire about it. You don't want to be willy-nilly about it. You want to have that desire, and he says you mix it with emotion. And in the book, he tells you, for those of you that remember, he has you do an exercise where you say this affirmation every day. I'm so happy and grateful now that, whatever it is, now that I have the love of my life, now that money is pouring into my life, just flowing in, whatever it is that you're asking for. But he says you have to mix it with emotion. He said you can't stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have the love of my life. Because that's just not going to do it, right? You have to have your cells on just ecstatic. You have to mix emotion with it. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have the love of my life. I'm so happy and grateful that money is just pouring like rain into my life, and I get to do so many wonderful things with it. He says when you mix it with emotion, you are impacting your subconscious mind. And when we're impacting our subconscious mind, that is when our energy starts to vibrate at a rate that will bring to us the people, the opportunities that we're looking for to be thrust forward into what it is we're wanting to create. And he tells the story of Barnes. How many of you remember this? Barnes wanted to be, a man named Barnes wanted to be a business associate of Thomas Edison. Now, there was a problem with that. He didn't know Thomas Edison, and he didn't know anybody that knew Thomas Edison. I don't know where he got this burning desire, but he had it, and he never gave up on it. But he had no money. He didn't even have enough money to take the train to go to where Thomas Edison lived and had his business. So he hopped a train, and he shows up to where Edison is, and he asked to go to work there. Doing it, we said, "Oh, you want more money?" We're like, "Oh, yes, we want more money." And so we were handed $1. Here you go. Now you have more money, right? So the universe, if we're going to put it out there for the universe to answer our request, then Hill says we need to be specific in what it is that we're asking for. If you're asking for, I'm going to throw something out of the air, $100,000, then you ask for it, but you ask for what you believe you can get. If your mind doesn't believe you can get $100,000, then don't ask for that. Ask for what you think you can get, what you believe. I love the statement, anything the mind can conceive and believe, we can achieve. Because where does it all start? It starts in our mind. Everything starts in the mind first. This lectern was a thought in the mind. The chair you're sitting in was a thought in the mind first, before it ever became manifest into physical form. So we want to be specific. And then he says, put a date to it. Whether you meet that goal on that specific day or not, the purpose for putting a date to it is because you're working towards something. If you just say, I'm going to have $100,000 someday, there's no urgency to move forward. And then we have the tendency to just, I don't know, relax and kind of sit back. So he says, be specific and set a date for it. And then the last one is to have faith. Have faith. So you have your words and your intention. You have your burning desire mixed with emotion. And then you have your faith. And your faith is our connection with the divine, believing that the universe has our back, even when it doesn't unfold exactly as we, in our humanness, may have put it in order to unfold. There's a country and western song, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it goes something about, maybe you know what it is, thank God for unanswered prayer. And it's a country and western song where he wanted to marry a specific girl, and he saw her years later, and he said, oh, thank God for an unanswered prayer, because here I am with the love of my life. Had it gone the way he had wanted it to go in his humanness all those many years ago, he would have missed out on the love of his life that he was with today. So that's where our faith comes in. We have the faith. We're invited and asked to have the faith to know that our highest good is unfolding, even if it doesn't look exactly as we thought it would. To know that it's going to turn out better than what we can think in our humanness. And I tell you, that has been the case with me over and over and over and over again. The universe always has your back. Whatever it is, the universe has your back. And that's where our faith comes in. So that's our points for tonight. Watch your thoughts. Don't give your power away. Have that burning desire mixed with emotion. Keep your faith. And I don't know what you're facing tonight, but I know one thing, we're all facing something. We're not here on the planet walking around in our human bodies not facing something. We're all facing something, but what I do deserve to live the life that you would love to live. And that's what I want to see for you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.